And we are here with a brand new edition of Bidnerd, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. Thanks for watching and being here. We really love our fans. Michael Deeb, do we not love our fans?
Dude, the herd is so strong. I sold a car last week, John, on Bring a Trailer, and one of the herd, I'd say the unofficial leader of the herd, Ross C, platform stalked me over to the 914 listing, and not only did he reach out and say that bidners, he hashtagged the bidners, but he gave a guess as to what he thought the car was going to sell on the comments
Yeah,
on Bring a
on
Trailer,
BAT. I was like, what are you
and
doing?
and
Wrong
minute marked it
platform.
minute marked it. I mean, that is the herd is strong in that one. Ross, you're the best, dude. I love that. That was freaking awesome. So thank you to Ross and everybody out there that comments. You guys are the best. I love that we're almost achieving mass adoption. Like it's on BAT. That I thought that was fantastic. So I encourage you guys to do that all the time, but I can't officially encourage you to do that all the time. So just do what you want. You know what I mean? I love it.
That's the greatest. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so what we do if you're new to this, new to the channel, one, thank you for checking us out. Make sure you hit the subscribe, like, and notification button if you haven't done that already.
Smash.
We do is we're a bunch of nerds who love cars, so we watch all these auction sites all the time anyway, probably like you, and we find the most interesting car from all of them, and then we have a conversation right here with you about that car, why we think it's the most interesting car of the day, and then we make a prediction as to what's going to happen to that car's auction. If you stick around to the end of the episode, we actually go into the future and we reconcile our predictions with what actually happens. What are the actual results? You will find out at the end of this episode. So make sure you stick around. It's like The Price is Right, only with cool cars instead of washing machines, right?
Yeah,
Way to go.
way cooler cars.
Way cooler cars. Okay, so before we get to today's car, this pretty darn awesome little PCAR action, we want to
Yep.
give a shout out to our friends at God and Classic. This is a car I think they might have on their showroom floor. No?
They could actually. In fact, when I was with Godden Classic in Las Vegas, we definitely looked at this car. This was a special edition, the Weissach edition of the SC, and it came in two colorways. And I think I looked at one and was thinking about buying it for inventory at Godden, but it was the other colorway opposite of what today's car is. So, yeah, they would totally sell you this car. And if you buy one of these cars or you own one of these cars, they can service it for you and they have all your parts. Call our friends at Godden Porsche of Las Vegas, North America's first classic partner.
So we are on PCAR Market today, not Garden Classic. I think I would be
Right.
much happier if this car were a Garden Classic and
I,
feel much better about maybe buying
oh
it
my God.
than PCAR Market. Tell us about the car, and then we'll talk about the piece of crap platform that the poor car is on.
Yeah, so this car, John, is a 1980 Porsche 911 SC Weissach Coupe. Um, Porsche made about 408 of these things for the United States market. Our car has 118,000 miles and it's offered on PCAR Market out of Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, which is way back east. The car looks to be in fair condition for its age, and it's a really attractive colorway. So when you opted for the Weissach edition, JP, I've got this for you. You're gonna love this. You're gonna crack up because this is such a me thing to do, right? So let me just find it here. Where did it go? There we go. It's option package M439. Weissach edition of the SC. So the M439 edition, basically it got you either I think one of two colorways. This is the black metallic. They all came with Doric gray, which is like a light beige interior, and red piping and red carpets. They also came with a front lip spoiler, which apparently was optional on an SC, but part of this package. And the thing that I love is the Turbo Carrera wing. That wing, in my mind, had been long out of production, and yet here it was on a 1980 car. Porsche must have still had some in inventory and decided to make a package and include those. And then the cars, I think, optionally had you could have the option to get a limited slip differential. This car has it. And this car also has air conditioning. So, by all accounts, a really neat sort of, I'd say more or less, appearance package. I don't know that any of those things make the car drive any better. But SCs are still early enough, John, that these are like 2,300-pound cars, 180 horsepower. They go. Those 3 liters are fantastic, and these editions are pretty good looking, and I think pretty well known. I think most people would recognize this as a Weissach if you saw it, especially if you peered in and saw beige seats and red carpet. I think most people would know that's a Weissach. I think they've held their value better than SCs because they only made 400 for the US, but they're not. How do I say? These aren't. I think because there's no performance gain here, they don't bring a ton more money. I think they just bring a marginal amount of money. So, John, this looks like a nice one in fair condition with a decent amount of miles. Like everything about this car is sort of average. SCs have come up a little ways, and Weissachs would certainly bring a premium, but I think the condition and the mileage are just going to make this a car that is probably largely affordable by today's market standards. So, John, certainly we've seen that, PCAR Market, I know you're going to totally get into it, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to send it back to you. I think this car would have done better on Bring a Trailer. I know we say that all the time, and in most cases it goes without saying, but occasionally we see a particular model of a car that we think might do well on Cars and Bids over Bring a Trailer. I think, Cars and Bids is sort of the home of the lease return, where I think of an old car like this is going to find that broad audience and the commenters to either support it or really reveal what's going on there to it on Bring a Trailer. But this car on PCAR Market, I just don't think it's going to do really well. But I'll leave it to you because I think you have a story you want to share with their audience. So an SC Weissach on PCAR Market. John, take it away.
Yeah, I like the car. There's nothing wrong with it. It's an SC, and we just constantly see SCs kind of doing crazier and crazy numbers. I agree with you 100% on the overall assessment of the car. It's not in great condition. It's not in terrible condition, but whatever. It's a private owner car, and that's the thing that I wanted to bring up here. I have a black 964 cab, one of the cars I'm lucky enough to have in my parking garage, and I was considering maybe selling it. So I put it up on a marketplace, a Facebook marketplace classified ad, right? I didn't put it on an auction. I didn't do any of that route. I just let's put an ad up and just see. I wanted to gauge the market on convertibles. Is it a little bit too, if I do wind up selling it, I kind of feel like maybe I should wait a few more weeks. If I would probably go
like 2 months
BAT,
away,
put it on BAT and which by the time it gets through the process, you're looking at somewhere in April, which is about perfect for a classic Porsche, right? Because the weather's getting good just about everywhere. So I put this ad on Marketplace, and I got a bunch of responses. Most of the people seemed legit, but I got this one with "Hello!" exclamation mark. Yeah, sorry. "Hello!" exclamation mark. Maybe I think I can bring this up. You guys can actually see this. Can you see that? Yeah, let's see here. I'll see if I can move it over.
Yeah, part of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm interested. What is the best phone number to reach you to discuss the Porsche? Best regards, Kevin H. Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, Kevin H. didn't leave his phone number. He just asked for mine. And, in my haste, I was responding to like 6 or 7 other people. I was just like, yeah, whatever. I gave him the number. Now, no one else asked me my phone number. Other people asked questions, but no one else asked me my phone number.
Yeah.
So I sent my phone number off to Kevin H. And then I looked at his profile, and he's on the East Coast. I was like, that's weird. And just the format of the way he reached out, it was very kind of pro, right? It doesn't seem like someone who's have you ever reached out to someone's car on social media and left best regards? Right. I feel like I should have seen that as a red flag. Like what?
The funny thing is I use that all the time. So I probably have, but I'm also a former car salesperson. So
there you go. Right. So I'm like going, oh, okay. It tends to be more casual than most. Everybody like, hey, is this thing still around? They ask you some questions. Oh, whatever. Okay, fine. But the spacing and everything was very in. This wasn't an email. Now, if it were an email, it's going to be a little bit more formal. But on a DM, on a direct message on Facebook, you don't expect a lot of punctuation and all that kind of stuff. So whatever, I fired the number off, didn't think about it. Then like a half hour later, I'm sitting at my desk and my phone rings, and it's a New York number, right? And I'm like,
Oyster Bay, New York.
Exactly. I'm about to answer it, and I realize that it's in Oyster Bay. I'm like, wait a second. Right? No way. That's got to be PCAR Market. So I didn't answer it because I didn't know how to record the phone call from so I go and grab my wife's phone. And I'm like, hey, I need your phone, right? So I put it on video. I set it all up. I'm like, I'm going to call this back. And I call the number back. And sure enough, it's freaking PCAR Market, right? Now, it went straight to voicemail to, I think, some Andy guy or whatever. Now, when he called me, he didn't leave, whoever it was from Oyster Bay didn't leave me a message. So I called back and I didn't leave them a message, but pretty freaking clearly that was PCAR Market. These mother will send you a message saying that they're interested in your car and not disclose right out of the gate that all they are really trying to do is get a commission off of you. These are bottom feeding leech bags. These guys at PCAR Market are pieces of crap. I'm looking at you at PCAR Market. That we've met you. We've had one of the guys from PCAR Market on this very show, and he was a very nice guy, but this is the kind of shady-ish that PCAR Market pulls. I've had this happen before when I've had my personal car for sale. They will reach out to you, the other guy got me on the phone, asked me a whole bunch of questions about the car, acted jovial. Oh yeah, well, that's like a normal person would that was interested in the car. He seemed legit. And then at the end of the conversation, he's like, oh, hey, would you consider listing on the PCAR Market? I'm like, you just took a half hour of my time walking me. I have had it with PCAR Market. The gloves are off. F PCAR Market. Do not do business with these people.
So this is the thing, it's shady because they don't disclose who they are up front, right? So they lead you, and it's kind of a bait and switch, right? And
exactly.
and that's the problem, right? That's where we take issue. Like we're normal people who, in most cases, either want or in most cases need to sell our car, and the last thing we want is a dog and pony show, right? We just want to, if you're interested in my car, tell me you're interested in my car. If you're trying to sell me something, then tell me you're trying to sell me something. And I think that's where we take the biggest issue. It's all smoke and mirrors with these guys. The thing is, with them, they don't think it's shady at all. It's just a marketing strategy, right? It's just a strategy to turn a prospect into a client, and that's it. And so they pay employees, they hire people whose job it is to scour these kinds of ads
and to scam people, to fool them, to specifically fool them,
and to bring them in. And even if it requires deception, which seems to be their trademark method, is to do that. John, I have experienced a little bit of what you're talking about. You remember I sold Ruby, which was my 84 Carrera wide body. I put it on Bring a Trailer, and even though I had photos from Lee Pettit, they did not use those photos. They used some crappy pictures I took, and the car closed on a Sunday during the beginning of the NFL season. My car was DOA. It did not sell. And I was fortunate to make a deal with somebody who had reached out to me through, cross-reference on social media. And I sold the car to a really nice person that's become a friend of ours. But shortly after I made that deal, PCAR Market called me and said, hey, we saw your car didn't sell and we'd like to sell it to you. We'd like to do it. Now, that phone call was straight up. The guy called and said that he was from PCAR Market and he noticed my car didn't sell and he asked if I would consider listing it with them. And I didn't have a problem with that because then we just talked about the market, which was interesting. But this other tactic that they employ most of the time, the way they set you up, or the way they were trying to set you up, but you saw right through them. They do it to people all the time, and it's just it lacks a lot of integrity because they're not transparent with who they are and what their agenda is, and that's bullshit. I mean,
it wasn't
bullshit.
even the same guy, right? The guy that tried to lead me on Facebook wasn't the same guy that called me from PCAR Market. They have a legion of people who are out there getting leads to then hand off to the other guys in the office
who talk on the phone.
Phone calls. It's because
totally different.
I didn't give my number to anyone else. That's the only way PCAR Market could have known that car was for sale. Period.
Yep.
They suck You suck, PCAR Market. And we're going to continue letting as many people know as possible. It'll be funny if we see him at Luftkult.
Yeah.
I would love to have this conversation with him in person.
Keep bringing cool cars to market so we can keep bagging on you on our platform. But
all right, so back to this
anyway.
Weissach. What's going to happen with this auction?
Well, you didn't really talk about the car other than you kind of
whatever.
agreed with me in the condition. All right, cool. All right, so our car is going to close in a couple days from now, JP. A lot of the cars we chose are a few days out. Actually, no, this car is actually in a couple days. I take that back. So basically 2 days from now, this car is going to sell, or hopefully it will, or wind up in the deal tank. Right now, the current high bid is $29,000, and that's just on 2 bids. I think this car is just fair at best, John. I'm not as impressed with this, so I'm going to go $45,000, which is where it should sell. And I think they could get that for this car because I just think that's a tangible number by today's economy. This is a very inexpensive way to get into a cool air-cooled car that's actually a great driver. So I think that's fair money for the transaction here. I'm going to say $45,000. I think they can sell this car because I don't think it'll take a lot to get it there. If it winds up in a deal tank for $60,000, I'm going to laugh when we go to reconcile this particular lot because this is not a $60,000 example by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be bearish. God, it's 45 is the number, right? I mean, you know, 6 months ago, this thing, SEs have been just going crazy. Even recently, you know, SEs have been kind of going nuts. I would have definitely bid in the 60s. Because it's a Weissach, even though it's not in the greatest condition. But the fact that this is not in the greatest condition, the fact that it's on PCAR Market and they're hit and miss, I got to go bearish. I'm just going to go 44. I'm going to park it right underneath you. And I'm going to say
that's fair enough.
It fails to sell. I think it goes to the deal tank. I think whoever owns this probably has a reserve
tripping.
Somewhere in the 50s would be my guess.
They're
maybe higher.
Yeah,
they're
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah. What do you guys out there in the nerd herd think? Have you dealt with PCAR Market? Have you dealt with this shady kind of ish that these resellers try to pull on us? And what do you think of that?
John,
what do you think?
John, remember last week we had Naveed on, and he did not want to speak ill because he had done business with PCAR himself, so he didn't want to bash on them. But he said, yeah, he kind of, after all the stuff that you said or that we said together, he was like, but
some of the stories that he told when we weren't on camera.
Look, of course.
And I'm not gonna break confidence there and tell you those stories, but I can tell you that we hear stories all the time. These guys are sketch as F. Stay away would be our recommendation. We are not financial advisors. Don't listen to us. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're just a couple of dumb morons on the internet. But there it is. Let us know what you think is going to happen with this little 911, and we're going to find out right after this. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy.
1989 linen gray metallic G50 cab.
Is that gonna be for sale?
It is gonna be for sale. The car only has 65,000 miles.
Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas.
If you love watching car videos on YouTube, you gotta check out my channel, The Rami Show. Oh, this car! I am driving a 2020 Lamborghini SVJ. This car, watch this. Oh, 115 mile an hour turn, like it's nothing.
It's nothing. What do you guys think of that? Welcome back to the future, everyone. We are here to find the results of the 911. And look at this, guys. We have a third nerd. Michael Deeb, why don't you introduce our third nerd today? What's going on?
Live from Costa Mesa, it's Andrew Pappas, the driver 88. What's up, Max Pappas? Andrew Pappas, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Here we are. Another beautiful, I think it's Monday today. I lost track.
Yeah, we never know what day it is on this show. Yeah, we try not to talk about that because we recorded on one day and then the episode's going another day.
Never mind then. Yeah.
You guys might be wondering why I dressed up over the break here in the future. I thought I'd put on my limited edition Porsche design. I'm sorry, this isn't Porsche design. This is PCAR Market these are limited edition PCAR Market ties for you salespeople. I thought this would be appropriate since the PCAR Market you sales guys are on it. And,
Oh my
and
God.
my producer.
Do
Kind
they
of
send you that
insisted.
when they buy one of your when they win one of your cars on their platform?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so you can hang yourself after the results. You know what I mean? Like, tie yourself to the nearest doorknob.
Why did I go with PCAR Market?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Oh
should have
my
waited
gosh.
for bat.
All right, guys. My dog is barking at the at people who are walking by the studio here. All right, let's get to the car. Michael Deeb, can you remind us of what the car
Yeah.
was here, and I'll see if I can get to you. Shut the hell up.
All right, so here we go. On PCAR Market was this 1980 Porsche 911 SC Weissach edition with 118,000 miles. The car seemed to be in fair condition. It didn't look exemplary, but it didn't look. This car is certainly not an example that's been beat up. There's a lot of patina to it. John, you and I didn't have a ton of nice things to say about the platform. Thus, we didn't think the car was going to do very well. So I said $45,000. You took the under at $44,000. Andrew, are you familiar with this model? Would you care to venture a bid before we reveal the result? What do you think this car might have gone for on PCAR Market?
All I know is it probably sold, even if it was a low number, and it probably was a low number. So I'm going to take the under at 41.5.
41.5, and you think it sold at that? Okay, so
Yeah.
our car final bid was $47,000, where
Wow.
it failed to sell on just 22 bids, and the car wound up in the deal tank, kind of like we thought. JP and I both sort of thought that this car would stall out and then wind up in the deal tank, which it did, and it wound up in the deal tank for $64,000. And again, that was several days ago. It remains available in the deal tank at $64,000, and they haven't gotten an offer over the $47,000. So this car kind of DOA, JP. This sort of everything happened a little bit like we thought, and honestly, Andrew's bid and your bid and my bid are all in that same neighborhood. So I think we were all kind of on it. I won this one because I just had the over, but this car really, it didn't bring 50 grand, and it's in the deal tank for an unrealistic 65. This is all just a mess. The question I say to you, Andrew, because obviously you're doing a lot of business with your personal account, listing all the cars on BAT. John and I oftentimes say that even though PCAR Market is supposed to be the home of the Porsche, these sort of specialized air-cooled cars would do better to a bigger audience. And there's clearly a whole Porsche council that governs over these cars when they show up on BAT.
They do.
I think this is a $50,000 to $55,000 example. I don't think it's a $65,000 example. But I send it to you, Andrew. What do you think, just ballpark, spitballing, what do you think this car might have brought had it been on probably the superior platform?
I think probably somewhere in the mid to high 50s. It could have gone for with better pictures and, with a presented really good. I didn't see all the pictures, obviously, because I didn't go through the whole listing, but it seems like they're decent. But I mean, you could always do, a little better. And cars like that, I would put that thing in a photo booth, take, really nice inside pics and then some outside pics. But I mean, I think the car definitely had a chance there. I think it's unfortunate that it went, it's publicly on there now in purgatory, which is the deal tank. So it's tough to. But yeah, I think
JP, he stole your take. He said the car needed better pictures. I mean, man, Andrew's right on, right? I mean,
with that interior too, that would shoot so nice in a booth with white background and the whole thing. But hey, I mean, it seemed like they gave it a good go, and it just didn't have the audience there. I wonder how many watchers it had, but I think it would have had a lot more, the other way.
I agree that presentation was a big problem, but I don't know if it would have brought that much more on. If this car were presented identically on something like BAT, I don't really think it would have gotten any better. I think the car was just presented poorly. And as much as we ish all over PCAR Market, I mean, when it comes to Porsches, they tend to do pretty good. Sometimes there's anomalies here and there. I'm surprised to hear you say when you gave your bid, Andrew, that you thought it would actually sell at a low number, when our experience is that PCAR Market, one of the reasons why people tend to go there is because their reserves are more liberal. They let the seller kind of determine what the reserves are, and I think that's clear in their idea. That they think that at 65 grand in the deal tank. I mean, they were out to lunch. This car at best is a 50 something example. What do you?
They shouldn't be trying to get more than like 55 probably on the deal tank buy it now price.
Right.
But the reason I said that, and the reason I'm saying that sometimes I'm seeing cars so low, is because obviously you guys know a lot more about these Porsches and stuff, like especially the older ones than I do. But like I do see some cars that are in my niche, like muscle cars or resto mods, and then I'm also into Porsches too, but more like the modern, like 996 and newer kind of cars. So in my personal experience selling on PCAR, I'll keep this as short as I can, but they'll call you and grind you at the end of your auction.
Yep.
They, in this case, the reason I said that is because they did that to me. And, unlike Bat's very professional. They never call you. They never try to say, these cars are tanking. They did that to me on a TDF that I ended up selling. It ran up to $1,070,000. And I think it went to 1.1 offer in the deal tank. And they called me like every 5 minutes for 2 days. I was in Hawaii trying to enjoy my freaking vacation. And, they're these things are falling apart. They're going to be under $1 million anytime. So I was like, okay, thanks. But please,
Did they send you a free tie?
No tie. They should have sent the tie. Then I could have definitely convinced my seller. But anyways, I took the car and sold it no reserve on Bat for $1.389 million. So
nice.
300 grand more by going to the right platform. So like I said, my statement was mostly because they will actually try to grind the seller, and this car was not that clean. So like they had actually a leg to stand on for grinding him at the end, which I would I don't agree with that they do that.
Yeah.
I think it's very unprofessional, but it is what it is.
That's an interesting take. So you're basically saying that because we think this car was not undervalued, but isn't worth nearly as much as the seller thought, that there would have been downward pressure on that seller to go ahead and take the offer, but that delta was just too darn big.
It was a big delta. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and like you said about the reserves, Bring a Trailer is very realistic on their reserves and how they set them. So they, if they give you a reserve of X and you ask for all the money and then they said, okay, this is what we'll give you. Like, this is, now you got to come down to this number. Like, they actually believe the car could sell for that number. Like they don't, it's not just fluff. Like, they don't just give it to you just to shut you up and run a car. Like, they would rather sell a car than not sell a car. And honestly, they just have it down better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think our experience is that you're 100% correct with non-Porsches on PCAR Market. I mean, PCAR Market, all the ish that we talk, they do tend to do okay with Porsches. Generally, we've seen some real big fails on their part for sure.
Yeah. There can be, there can be
but
sure.
The same thing happens on any of the platforms. But I think the safest place to be is almost always BAT. Would you agree with that?
I would 100% agree. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
This car got 4,500 views, and it was only saved by 12 people. So not a lot of action on this car at all.
Yeah, and now that it's kind of sitting there in deal tank at such a high price, if he does try to sell it at another auction platform, let me ask you this question, Andrew. If you try to sell something on a platform like PCAR Market, do you think, and it fails, do you think you're better off to not put it in the deal tank and immediately put it on another platform?
That's what I did with that F12 TDF that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to put it in the deal tank, and they're all excited about it. And again, I mean, they were trying to sell a car. At the end of the day, I'm not here to talk, as you would say, ish about other people. But they wanted to sell a car. They probably were going to figure out how to make their percentage or cut the fee or whatever to make the deal. But they were trying to get me to get the guy down. He wanted 1.3 in his pocket, which was a lot. But at the end of the day, it wasn't that unrealistic because the selling price on BAT was $1,389,000. So the money was there on the car. It was a really unique car. It had all the signatures on the whole under, the engine bay from all the guys at Ferrari, low mileage, great color, great spec and all that. So the fact that they just pressured me on that level, and then on another car too, on a Pista, that the guy ended up selling for 100 grand more. I mean, it was a very special, unique car. But, they acted like I was dropping the ball because I was on a plane. And they're like, hey, where were you? And I'm like, dude, I don't work for you, bro. I was on a plane. I just landed in Hawaii and called you right back, dude. Are you kidding me? But, they're acting like I was, they're trying to buy the car for me. And I'm like, okay, I just don't like that vibe. So I think, I would 100% say,
where were you? Did they really say that? Oh my God, what a bunch of
oh, dude, I got stories for days. But I mean, there's a couple guys there that I like. I genuinely think they're good people and stuff, and a couple guys there that I just don't agree with their tactics. And
yeah.
I really appreciate the professionalism both ways when it comes to bring a trailer, because on the after sale deal, like post auction, if something happens and the guy doesn't wire you, whatever, they step in and then they'll help. But they never try to put a deal together and like convince a seller that he needs to take less money. Like, it just doesn't give me a very good vibe. Is all.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say cancel the deal tank, go straight to the bat.
Straight to bat. Good advice. All right, guys. You can take his advice, but never take mine or Michael Deeb's, because we don't know what we're talking about. Nerd Nation, we appreciate you guys being here. If you're new to the channel because you heard Andrew's going to be here, and you're on, this show is all right. Maybe if they have him on more often.
Losing followers now,
yeah. Go ahead and hit the subscribe, like, and notification button. Do it now so that we can grow the herd, get more people knowing about the show. It's a lot more fun the more people that kind of like play along. If you guys are watching this show,
minute mark,
watching the comments is fun because you can play along. This is like Price is Right. So put your bid in as you watch the show and see if you're better at this than the nerd herd and our special guest that actually knows what he's talking about. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. That's another edition of Bid Nerds.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, guys.
We will see you guys tomorrow.
Nerd! Get those words!